Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into a topic that's, well, incredibly popular right now.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting right at that intersection of, inner potential and external reality, the law of attraction and manifestation.
And we've got a really interesting piece of source material here. It pulls insights from two uh, pretty prominent figures in this space, Abraham Hicks and Regan Hillyer.
Right. So, our goal in this deep dive really is to act as your guides. Think of us navigating this specific map of ideas.
We'll explore how these two perspectives are presented in the source. They both share that basic idea, right, that your inner world shapes what happens externally.
Exactly. So we'll highlight their core ideas, kind of uncover the key nuances so you can draw your own understanding from them.
Absolutely. And the source makes a great point right off the bat.
Yeah.
Both concepts, they ultimately trace back to New Thought philosophy.
Ah, okay.
So that shared lineage, it explains why they both operate from that core belief, what's going on inside you. Your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, that's going to get reflected back in your external experience.
That's the foundation they both start from then.
hmm
So, let's maybe look first at how Abraham Hicks is presented in this source material, focusing on the law of attraction, or LOA.
Okay, so the source describes LOA as this fundamental vibrational principle that just is like attracts like.
Like attracts like.
Ill.
Simple enough.
Yeah, but the core mechanism presented is that every single thought, every feeling you have, it sets a frequency. And the universe, in this view, is constantly responding to that specific frequency.
Constantly responding. Okay, and there's a quote in the source from Abraham Hicks that really jumps out, isn't there?
Yeah, there is nothing that comes to you unless you invite it by thought.
Wow. That puts a lot of emphasis on personal agency then.
Huge emphasis. The source actually frames it as, you are the inviter, you are the attractor, you are the creator of your physical experience.
So the insight there is that your energy, the thoughts, the feelings you consistently put out, it acts like a magnet, basically, pulling experiences towards you.
Pretty much. And it naturally follows, then, that cultivating thoughts and feelings that actually align with your desires becomes key.
Right. So positivity, clarity, they aren't just like nice to haves, they become deliberate tools for attraction in this model.
Exactly. And the Abraham Hicks model, as presented here, it also brings in this idea of emotional guidance.
Emotional guidance. How does that work?
Well, your emotions aren't just random feelings, they're signals. So joy, peace, that feeling of flow, those indicate you're energetically aligned with what you want.
And negative feelings.
They signal misalignment. That the source really highlights that from this perspective, you are always manifesting something. Always.
Okay, wait, always.
Yeah. It's either happening by default, based on unexamined thoughts and feelings running in the background, or it's deliberate.
Deliberate meaning you're consciously focusing your energy, kind of vibrating at the frequency of the reality you desire. Is that the idea?
That's the idea presented, yeah.
Yeah.
So the insight is to use your emotions like a compass.
A compass. I like that. And then there's this really potent core concept the source highlights from Abraham. Alignment trumps everything.
That phrase really nails it, doesn't it? It suggests that consciously tuning your inner state, your thoughts, feelings, vibration, making sure it matches your desired outcome. That's the single most powerful factor.
More powerful than anything else?
And according to this perspective, yeah. The source also brings up Abraham's idea of the path of least resistance.
Path of least resistance. What's that about?
It's described as the way to create anything through letting go and allowing.
Letting go and allowing. Okay, so the insight there seems to be that when you release negative emotions, that struggle, that doubt, the things that create resistance.
Exactly. When that resistance melts away, what you want can flow in more naturally without forcing it.
Makes sense. So summarizing Abraham's perspective from the source, it sounds like LOA is framed as this eternal universal law.
Right. Heavy emphasis on vibration. The source mentions the vortex too, though it doesn't go deep into what that is here, just that it's part of the energetic picture. And it really centers on emotional alignment.
And Abraham speaks from a what's described as a channeled non-physical source consciousness.
That's how the source presents it.
Yeah.
Encouraging a state of allowing, of receiving. So you could say Abraham provides the why, the fundamental energetic overview of how the universe operates in relation to your energy.
Okay, fascinating. That's the Abraham Hicks view, rooted in universal laws, vibration, allowing. Let's pivot now to Regan Hillyer. How does the source present her approach to manifestation?
It's framed a bit differently, less like a universal law you just plug into and more like an art. the art of co-creating your reality.
An art form. Okay.
Yeah, her definition, according to the source, is the art of unlocking your innate, unlimited potential to create whatever you truly desire.
Unlocking potential. So
Yeah.
her perspective is more about what? What we hold inside.
Kind of. The idea presented is that each person carries these internal seed ideas, these dreams. And manifestation is basically about aligning your energy so those seeds can actually sprout into your physical reality.
Ah, so it's not just passive waiting. It involves like active, focused intention from within you.
Exactly. Focused intention. One of her key teachings highlighted is that manifestation means aligning your energy, thoughts, and beliefs with what you truly want.
So again, that idea of matching, your internal frequency has to match your external
Right.
dreams.
And she places a huge emphasis on where the real work happens.
Which is
Internally. It's almost all internal. She introduces this idea of an 80-20 principle.
80-20, like the Pareto principle.
Sort of applied here, yeah. The source explains it roughly means 80% of our life outcomes stem from our mindset and mental work, while only 20% come from our actions.
Wow, 80% mindset. Okay.
And her core mantra, which the source really emphasizes, is be do have.
Be do have. How does that work?
The insight is, to manifest effectively, the primary step is to be the person who already has what you desire.
Okay, hold on. Be the person first before you do anything or have anything.
That's the core of it. There's a quote here. Become the person you need to become in order to receive what you desire. Be the person who has already received it.
That really crystallizes it. It's about embodiment then.
Exactly. It's not just thinking about the goal. It's imagining, yes, but more importantly, living as if that goal is already your reality right now.
So you actively embody that success or that love or abundance in your daily life now.
That's the teaching, yeah. The deep insight from Regan's perspective, as presented, is that the most powerful creative act is shifting your internal state, your identity, your beliefs.
Because, as she says, what was the quote?
Everything externally in our lives is created internally.
Right. So shifting who you are inside is the most powerful step.
That's presented as the essential thing. So characterizing Regan's perspective from this source, manifestation is framed as a practical skill set, an art form.
More hands-on, maybe?
Definitely seems that way. She focuses intently on identity shifts, cultivating the right mindset, providing practical tools for that embodiment piece.
And her speaking style is different, too.
Yeah, the source describes it as coming from an embodied, high-performance coaching lens, teaching embodiment and energetic congruence.
Energetic congruence, meaning making sure your energy is consistently aligned with the outcome.
That seems to be the context, yes, keeping it all lined up.
Okay, so if Abraham, based on the source, gives us the fundamental why, the big picture energetic overview.
Then Regan provides more of the practical how, the embodied steps you can take to become that vibrational match for your desires.
That distinction, as the source draws it, is actually really helpful, helps clarify their different angles.
It does. Now, despite these, different styles and points of emphasis, the source does highlight some really significant areas where they actually align quite closely.
Okay, like what? Where's the common ground?
Well, the most fundamental thing seems to be that internal state is absolutely paramount for both.
Right, we had Abraham saying, alignment trumps everything.
And Regan stating, everything externally in our lives is created internally. Both roads lead back to your inner world being the primary driver.
Makes sense. What else?
Emotions as guidance, that's another big one. The source points out both perspectives teach that negative feelings.
Yeah.
They signal misalignment with what you want.
And the positive feelings, joy, flow, peace.
Those indicate you are in energetic alignment, so your feelings are information.
Okay. And crucially, neither one seems to view the universe as just random or indifferent. Right.
Not at all. It's seen as responsive, like a mirror reflecting your internal state back to you. Or maybe a partner in your journey of creation and becoming.
A partner. I like that. That responsive nature of the universe seems core to both.
It really is. But of course, those stylistic and philosophical differences we touched on, they are important too, and the source lays them out clearly side by side.
So let's recap those differences quickly. For Abraham, LOA is presented as this eternal, universal law. Vibration is key.
Whereas for Regan, manifestation is framed more like a skill set, an art form you cultivate.
Abraham's emphasis, vibration, emotional alignment, concepts like the vortex.
Regan's focus, more squarely on conscious identity shifts, mindset, practical embodiment tools.
And their communication styles, as the source notes, are very different.
Yeah, Abraham from that channeled, non-physical source consciousness,
Versus Regan from an embodied high-performance coaching perspective.
which naturally leads to slightly different core actions they encourage, right? Abraham emphasizes allowing, receiving.
While Regan teaches active embodiment, achieving that energetic congruence.
And like we said, the source kind of this boils down to Abraham providing the why, the big energetic principle.
And Regan providing the how, the practical steps for embodiment.
Exactly. And a really key insight from the source, I think, is the conclusion that neither path is presented as inherently better.
Right, not better or worse, just different.
Different reflections, maybe, of the same fundamental truth, that you are the creator of your experience.
So it's not about having to pick one camp over the other.
Not according to this source, no. It suggests that both Abraham's idea of the path of least resistance and Regan's teaching on energetic mastery, they're actually pointing towards the same gateway.
And that gateway is?
It's you. You becoming a vibrational match to the life you envision. The source even talks about dissolving the illusion of separation.
Separation between what?
Between you and, well, the universe or your inner power. Seeing it as a we, process the human you, partnering with that divine spark within you, perhaps.
A partnership, okay. And it suggests real power comes when you stop seeing things as opposites, like effort versus ease.
Or vibration versus action, yeah.
Yeah.
Or intention versus trust. Instead of seeing them as either, it's about merging them.
Bringing those elements together, that's what makes you unstoppable in conscious creation, according to this interpretation.
That seems to be the synthesis offered. And ultimately, I think the biggest takeaway from diving into this source material is simply this. You are already manifesting, right now, every moment.
Whether you realize it or not.
Exactly. Your energy, your thoughts, your beliefs, they are actively shaping your reality, consciously or unconsciously.
Understanding that, just seeing it laid out through these two different lenses presented in the source, it actually feels incredibly empowering.
Doesn't it? It shifts the perspective. It's not just things happening to you. It's seeing that you get to choose how you engage with this whole creative process.
You can just keep manifesting by default based on old patterns.
Or you can start to co-create deliberately, consciously.
And that really leads to a final thought to maybe hold on to from this deep dive, something the source prompts us to consider.
Which is?
Since you are always manifesting anyway, are you doing it consciously or unconsciously?
That's the question, isn't it? And this understanding, exploring these ideas, it really opens up the possibility for you to actively consider how you want to engage with your own incredible creative power going forward.